What's up, guys, and welcome back to SCUM. Now, before we actually really get into much of anything, I wanted to talk about the poll that we put out. Looks like most of you want to do the road trip where we just kind of go around and explore things. And then the rest of it currently is split about 50-50 between the other two options. Now, one of you suggested an interesting idea that we could just combine all three options. We could stick with the character that we currently have, since we don't really have a direction that we're going. This character doesn't really have anything. We wouldn't be interrupting anything or changing anything, because right now we're just kind of wandering around anyway. But we already have a vehicle, we have some basic gear and stuff like that. And so we could just take this same character and go ahead and wander around. But as we're wandering, if we find a really interesting location that we would want to do a base at, we could go ahead and claim it and put a base there if we want to. Or at the very least, we could just kind of mark it down as a spot, maybe just put a flag there and just keep it in mind for later. But either way, I don't see why we couldn't do it that way. Just kind of combine all three options of stick with the same character that we have right now, but still go exploring. And if we happen to find a spot that we like for base building, go ahead and put one down. We don't necessarily have to try and do a base or find a spot in every sector right away, but we can kind of work towards that goal. So I kind of like that idea. I'm thinking we might go with that one. Let me know what you guys think on that, but for the time being, we're going to kind of proceed as though we're doing it that way. Now, if we do it that way, I would kind of like a different vehicle besides just the Rager. The Rager is a great vehicle, and I love it. It's my favorite vehicle in the game just because of how versatile it is. But if we're primarily doing some exploration, I don't know that we really need the Rager. I would almost prefer to have something more like a quad or a cruiser, maybe. Something that would limit our ability to hoard loot. And so that's why we're up here at the windmills. For those of you new to SCUM, the windmills, which are down here on the South Island, if you look at this kind of row here, you can see a whole bunch of little red dots. A lot of those are windmills. And they tend to spawn vehicles. Most of the windmills will spawn a vehicle. Now, sometimes it's a wheelbarrow, and sometimes the vehicles are pretty much stripped clean of parts, but the point is, if you're looking for a vehicle or vehicle parts, the windmills are a good place to look. And as luck would have it, the first one here, because this is the first one if we start from the west, the first one had a quad. And it was missing one tire. It was missing this back left tire. And, if you guys remember, I had a tire in there. So I went ahead and just threw that on here, and while it was on the jack, I took one of the several car repair kits that we had and just fixed everything up on it. It's missing a headlight, but other than that, it's good. It even has a battery in it. It's a dead battery, but if we can get it roll started, then it should go ahead and charge. We have some extra gas in the truck as well, so we might, maybe, take this quad. Before we make that decision, I want to check the rest of the windmills to see what else there is, because honestly, I'm torn between a quad and a cruiser. So, this episode is going to be us checking the windmills, trying to see if we can put together another vehicle. I mean, we've already put together the squad here. Oh, yeah, I found some friends when I pulled up here. They happened to come say hello before I could start recording, so sorry you guys didn't get to see that. But, anywho, on the note of base building, sorry, this is a long intro and I'm just rambling. But on the note of potential base building, there's a little island. I think it's this spot right here. There's a little island that comes out from the shore. It's a pretty good ways out from the shore. But it's shallow enough that I was able to build a bridge out to it. Like what I wanted to do with the island out here in the middle of this lake. But this one kind of works a little bit better for just the seclusion aspect. Now, realistically, puppets could still run across it, but I like the depth of the water of it. It's further from the shore. The island is a lot smaller, though. It's not anywhere near as big as the one up here. But I can build the bridge all the way out, which means technically we could build the entire base over the water there and incorporate the island as part of the base, potentially. So I think if we're going to do the base building thing, we might start with right there. As far as the base building goes, since what we're kind of doing for base building is more along the lines of we're just building for the sake of building as opposed to building a single base that we're going to try to live at full time. I'm looking at maybe doing a lot of the base building with God mode. Just because otherwise it's going to take us the rest of the year to try and build all of these bases. And again, we don't really have a use for all of these bases. We're just kind of building them to see what we can build. So, my preference would be to use God mode. Let me know if you guys are okay with that. I know some of you guys don't like God mode for doing the bases. But for this particular project, I think that would be the best way to go. Nope, we're good. I don't see a vehicle at this one, unfortunately. And that's going to happen. There's not necessarily one at every single one of these. But there are generally vehicles at most of these. So, let's see what else we can find. Oh, see, there we go. Right there's a cruiser. Also, one of you had asked, or had said that you wished there was a way to have your character automatically close the car door when you get out. Like what happens in the trader outposts. And there is. Come over here to custom zones, global configuration. It's all the way down here at the bottom. Auto close vehicle doors on exit. You just click that over to allow. It's normally set to block. But if you just set that to allow, then your character will automatically close the door when you get out. And that's even when you leave the vehicle running like this. Well, this cruiser does not have a whole lot on it. It's got a seat. It's got a headlight. Does it have a battery? No, it does not have a battery either. That's unfortunate. So, it needs tires. You can do without the fenders. I actually kind of like the look of it without the front fender anyway. The rear fender kind of needs. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, it's got a seat and a headlight. So, I guess it's a start. Anyway, what are your all's favorite vehicles in the game? Like I said, I like the Rager. I like the Leica as well. What I would really like to see them add back in is the SUV. There used to be an SUV in the game, and they took that out before I started playing. But I saw a lot of gameplay videos from back when it was still in the game, and that seemed like a pretty darn nice vehicle. Oh, got another quad over here. It's also missing the same headlight, though. It's got the snowplow, though. Thing is, I don't like the plow because it rides right on the ground, so it makes it really difficult to get over uneven terrain. I notice it catches on a lot of stuff. It has one tire. We don't really need anything else off of it, and it does not have the racks either. It has the handguards. I don't remember if the other one that we found has the handguards. I don't think it did. Let's see if we can't steal those real quick. Oh, did that take both of them? That took both of them. Fantastic. Just go in the truck. Now, realistically, I don't need the backpack right now, so let's chuck that in there. Now, something I would like to see them add as well. Well, there's a lot of vehicles I'd like to see them add. One would be just like a Jeep. You know, like a Jeep Wrangler. That would be nice. Or maybe the new Jeep Gladiator. You know, the Jeep pickup truck that's basically a Jeep Wrangler but with a truck bed. What we got there? Oh, another cruiser. Still missing the front wheel. Hey, that one's got a back wheel, though. Do you have a battery? Hey, that one's got a battery. Alright. Well, we've got a tiny little bit of charge to it. Well, we could take the headlight and the seat off of the other one. That'd be easier than taking the battery and the wheel off of this one. Because to take the wheel off, we need the jack. But just the seat and the headlight, we shouldn't. So, alright. But yeah, I'd like to see them add, you know, a Jeep of some kind or something similar. A true off-road vehicle. Hell, like a Toyota 4Runner, maybe. You know, just a good, you know, off-road, overlanding type vehicle. I also think like a dune buggy would be fun. And also maybe like some kind of sports car. I don't know really what kind, but, you know, it was a Mustang or a Challenger or something. You know, something that you could build out, but give each one of them, every single vehicle should have a Hellrider variant. You know, to where you could make these vehicles really look like Mad Max style vehicles. I know I bring up Mad Max stuff a lot, but I like the Mad Max movies, and particularly with the vehicles and the guns and stuff in those movies. I like the feel of those movies, you know? And so I think it'd be fun to be able to do that with SCUM, and they kind of did back when they had the Hellrider update. And then they took all of that away for some reason. We got a dirt bike there. I'm not real crazy about the dirt bike. I don't know if you guys can hear my cat doing stuff in the background. He's making a whole bunch of noise. Nope, no tires on you at all. You do have a battery, though. Well, I really don't want the dirt bike. Don't get me wrong, I like the dirt bike, but the noise from it is really irritating. And I don't know if you can hear the random noises in the background, but my cat has found a bunch of stuff to climb around in. You know, there's like some cardboard boxes over there. Looks like there's a sleeping bag he found. So anyway, if you hear some random noises in the background, it's probably my cat. Both of my cats. They're great, but they're both up there now. Wonderful. You boys having a good time? Please don't knock stuff over. That's a whole lot of stuff I'm going to have to clean up if you guys knock some of that over. So please don't do that. We have two cats right now. They're brothers. One of them's an orange cat. And he's the one that you guys normally hear in the videos because he likes to just sit nearby and just make noises. Is that the last wind turbine? That's unfortunate. Yeah, all the stuff is sinking, isn't it? Maybe you guys should stop doing that. Sorry, normally I would edit stuff like this out, but this may be the most interesting part of the video, is me talking to the cats. Wait, I can't remember, are there more wind turbines off that way? Or are they just power lines? No, those are more wind turbines. Okay, well, let's go check those, and then we will come back this way. It'd probably be smarter if I went down to a road, but, you know, we'll find a road eventually. You know, part of this is supposed to be exploring the, you know, off the beaten path a little bit. Whoop, that's a big rock with a drop off. But the windmills are kind of, the wind turbines, whatever, are kind of a thing that a lot of people new to SCUM probably don't really know about. We don't want to go that way. We want to go this way. So I want to showcase them for those of you that are new to SCUM. I know we got a lot of new people to SCUM with 1.0. So I want to kind of show you guys some of the locations that could be helpful to you. As far as other vehicles to bring into SCUM, I still want them to bring back the other motorcycle. Let's see, we're just going to tear off this away. You know, because there's another motorcycle that they were supposed to bring back, or they kept teasing that they were going to bring back before 1.0. I'm not sure what exactly the name or the designation for it is, but they're teasing it with a sidecar, so that would be interesting. You could theoretically haul a whole squad around in that. It might also have more inventory space because of that. Excuse me. Man, that's a nice view, isn't it? I love getting up high in SCUM and just looking at the views. Because, man, it's a beautiful game. It really is. And that's why I wanted to do the, you know, the road trip season or series or whatever you want to call it. Just the exploration stuff. Because this is a beautiful game. And, you know, there's so many places on the map that a lot of people will never go to. So it's like, why not explore those? You know, the devs put in a lot of work making this map. You know, like this spot right here. This would actually be a decent little base location. You know, you could build a little cabin up here. Nice and secluded. You know, you're not too far from stuff like the train yard, torpedo factory. You got a trader right there. You got a town over here. Motocross track. You know, there's some decent stuff here. Oh, let's see. While we're over this way, we might check out this little spot down here. There's another little island down here. I don't like it quite as well. I'll show you guys when we get there. Anyway, first things first, we're gonna continue checking these here wind turbines. See if we can't find us another vehicular. What do we got? Hey, is it another cruiser? Do you have a wheel? No, you don't. Of course you don't. Why would you? You've got a lot more parts, though. Let's see. You still don't have a seat. You've got all the fenders and whatnot, though. You got all right, well, also got a battery. You got the rear seat, rear fender. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and steal all of this stuff. Oh, I don't have my backpack. Drat. So I can't even just chuck this stuff in the backpack. Well, poo. Well, do that. Grab this front fender. We're going to basically just steal all the parts off of this one. Again, I don't necessarily want the front fender, but I wouldn't say no to it either. Give me the rear fender, please. Oh, I got to take the light off, don't I? Remove the brake light. There we go. Now that. Can I probably don't have room for the battery. Fender. I don't know why you can't just take the brake light off with the fender, but whatever. Battery. We don't necessarily need the battery, but we're gonna take it anyway. There we go. Now, we just need a front wheel for a cruiser. And we can put a full one together. Well, there's a Rager. Do you have any headlights? You do. That's good, because I'm missing one. Whoop, hi. Hello. Nope, we're fine. Thought we were going to flip the truck. You guys have seen that before, or most of you have. Well, I don't know about most of you. A lot of you have. You guys remember the episode when we were up by the radar array up here, and I flipped the truck right in the middle of a gigantic horde. Let's see, we still got that headlight. So I just need this one. Thank you. Yay, now we got lights. I know I could take the other lights. Ranger lights sell pretty well. Oh, you don't have some of these. You don't really have a whole lot, do you? You have one tire, you had a couple of lights, and you got a seat. You don't even have a battery. Well, you do have an alternator, though. Well, not what I'm looking for, but good find anyway. Like I said, the wind turbines are a good place to scavenge for vehicles. You may not find a complete vehicle, but you may find enough to put a vehicle together. Yeah, something else I would like to see as far as like a vehicle come into SCUM. I've talked about it before. Is there nothing at this one? Oh, drat. Would be like an RV. You know, give us some kind of camper that we could actually have as a mobile base that would have a portable kitchen. You know, you could have a water storage tank on it. It would have a bed. You know, give us something like that. I would love. There's a big ass log there. I would love to see that come to SCUM. Especially if you could then tow a vehicle behind it. Dirt bike, you got a wheel, and that's it. Maybe a battery. I'm not sure on the battery, but we don't need the battery. But you know, if you could tow a vehicle behind it or load up a motorcycle on the back of it or something. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. Little bit of lag there. That's okay. We didn't go careening off a cliff, so that's the important thing. Right? Right. Damn, look at that view. Man. Oh, 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 oh. Cruiser. Damn it. Still no front wheel. You don't have anything, do you? It has a battery and a rear wheel. I wish you could just put the rear wheel on the front. I know it doesn't really work that way, but in a pinch, so well, I guess technically, so long as the rear wheel isn't too wide for the forks. But in a pinch, you could put a rear wheel on the front. I guess we're presuming that the axle pin would be the same size as well, but whatever. This is a game where you cobble together a bunch of stuff. You know, now the devs are talking about adding an improvised wheel. Man, that is a view right there, isn't it? What are we stuck on? Really, a pile of garbage? That's what we were stuck on, was a pile of garbage. That is a nice view of the train yard. Sorry, this is part of the exploration series. I want to get out and just enjoy some of these views. I've never looked out over the train yard like this. Man. Sorry, that's nice. There's actually a spot right down there that wouldn't be too bad for, putting a little camp or something. I don't know if there might be a cave in some of these rocks. It looks like it's a spot that could be kind of cavey. But man, that's a nice view. See, this is the kind of stuff that I like doing with Scum. Just admiring the beauty of it. You know? Anywho. Man. It's such a beautiful game. It really is. Now, a couple of you have said, actually a lot of people have said, because I check the forums every once in a while. There's a tree stump and a rock. A lot of people have requested a helicopter for Scum. And I don't dislike the idea of a helicopter for Scum. I would love to have a helicopter just for, I don't know that we can quite squeeze through. Yeah, we can. But I feel like it would make the map feel a lot smaller, and there's no vehicle here, drat. You know, because just getting in the planes and flying around, the map feels a lot smaller, just because of how fast you can cover ground. But with a helicopter, landing wouldn't be nearly as much of an issue as it is with a plane. You know, the landing is what makes the planes kind of more of a... I guess kind of a toy than a practical vehicle. You know, but a helicopter could be an extremely practical vehicle. But I think it would make the map feel really small. And we gotta like it, this one. Drat. So we can't quite put together... Are you just missing one wheel? No, you're missing two. And a driver's seat. Well, that's unfortunate. You got both doors, though. Oh, that's nice. That's something else we could try to do, if you guys want. We could try to put together one of every vehicle. You know, just throughout our explorations. It could kind of be a fun little side quest, if you guys want. Let's see. Well, this is the only road. Yes, but we don't need the road. We're just trying to go that way. See, anytime I find like just a flat spot like this that's got a little bit of a clearing, I sit here and look, oh, I could build a cabin here. You know? But then you got to kind of look around and say, okay, what kind of, you know, what kind of resources do we have? Is there anything interesting around? Is there a source of water? Because up here, I don't know how well a well would work. Oh, this may be a mistake. I don't know that we can get down here without some, well, hey, sure we can. Aha! But the other questions are, like, you know, how easy is it to get to? What kind of view does it have? Because, like, this view out this way isn't really much of anything. You know? You're not close enough to the water to appreciate it. It just looks like a big blur. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. And now we're getting down here. Perfect. Would you look at that with your eyes? Now, there may be some caves or something down along here. I don't know. You know what? We can try going down that way. Just kind of drive along down by the beach here. Until we can't, because there's no more beach. That could be a problem. This is... I hope you can climb this truck. Oh, yeah, you can. Excellent. But yeah, I don't know... There we go. Perfect. Ooh. Okay, see, stuff like this down here. This is the kind of beachy spots that I look for. You got an actual beach down here. Got a little bit of a cove. It's shallow enough you could build a base all the way out across that if you wanted to. The problem with spots like this is they're really awkward to get to. Like this one, you've got a very steep hill to climb. Now, here's one of these little islands that I was telling you guys about. This one's actually kind of interesting. See, this one I don't even know if I would call it a true island. Hey, there's a boat. Just because you barely even have to get your feet wet to get to it. I mean, we could easily drive across here. We could probably drive across here on the motorcycle, you know. But it's a decent-sized little island, you know. And it's got these old destroyed houses and a pier. But, you know, you could do something with these. You know, my thought would be... Well, I don't know, because you can't build inside of them. But in theory, you could kind of build maybe like a perimeter wall just around these to enclose them. Now, the issue is you wouldn't be able to put any kind of a roof. And so I don't know on these. Because there's really nothing to them other than walls. And you can't really do anything with that. But it's still kind of a cool place. This would be a great place. What I would use this place for is more of just kind of a nice little camp spot. You know, come in here, you can put a campfire, bedroll, little, you know, lean-to shelter, something like that in these. You know, maybe, you know, pitch a tent out here on this island. That'd be great. Come out here, go fishing. You know, this would be a pretty good fishing spot. You know, so this would be kind of a nice little vacation spot, I think. You know? And little islands like this are places that I love to visit. You know, I don't necessarily think that it'd be a good base location, but a camp location, absolutely. You know, if we did just kind of like a cross-country moto camping series, which is kind of what I was looking at for like the exploration series. Because I love watching moto camping videos. You know, where people load up motorcycles and just go drive off to wherever, through the woods, you know, et cetera, and go do like primitive camping. You know, I love watching videos like that. And this kind of spot makes me think of that because, yeah, I would absolutely, you know, ride a motorcycle across there, set up camp over here, and just spend the night over here. You know, fish to catch dinner, you know, cook the fish over the fire, you know, and then pack up in the morning and head out. I really hope that they add a portable tent. to SCUM. And I don't know why they don't have that. Now, what we could do is God mode a tent in. Actually, you can't do the, damn it. You can't do the tent without putting down a flag, can you? I don't think so. You know, I could do this smarter. One of you told me about the search bar up here. There we go. Tent, miscellaneous. Yeah, I can't put down the tent without putting down a flag. But see, you really don't need a tent that big either. You know, but point is, we could God mode in a tent and then just destroy it when we leave and consider that packing up the tent. You know, since we can't actually take a tent with us in SCUM, I feel like for realism purposes, I feel like that would work, and I feel like that would be acceptable. Let me know what you guys think on something like that, and let me know if you guys would be interested in something like that. You know, from the poll, it seems like you guys are. You like the idea of the exploration video series where we would do a lot of camping and fishing and hunting and stuff like that. So it sounds like you guys would be interested in stuff like that. So let me know what you think would be fair as far as camping. You know, because like I said, for me, that seems like a pretty reasonable thing, is God mode in a tent, especially since just to do the tent, you have to put down a flag. Seems a little ridiculous to me, but whatever. I'm not the developers. Let's see. I want to get us back over to where I wanted to show you guys for a possible base location. So I think we're going to just try and get back to the road. Because trying to just cut across that way, I don't know that that's going to work real well. Okay, just due west from here will take us to the bridge. That's exactly where we want to go. But see, I love just kind of driving through stuff like this. You know, just having to find your way kind of through the countryside like this. You know, and then finding a spot to just set up a camp for the night rather than having a full-blown base that you go back to every night. Yeah, we got another lighthouse over there. It's kind of a nice little, I guess, would that be a strait? Not real sure what you'd call that. But we do have a lighthouse over here. Let's go check that out while we're over here, shall we? If we're going to do some exploring, we might as well do some exploring, you know? What I need to do for the exploration series is pull up, like, the admin helper and just see, oh, this lighthouse is kind of like on a cliff. I like that. But I need to pull up the admin helper and just kind of get a bunch of markings down for... There's a tree there, you stupid. Get a bunch of markings down for some interesting places, you know, because you can list caves, you can list World War II bunkers. I don't think you can do like lighthouses, unfortunately. but we'll figure something out. Well, that's just absolutely dreadful shooting. And I don't know if you can hear my dog eating in the background now. Yeah, she kind of gave me this funny look when I mentioned that. She's like, "Hey, what are you talking to people about me for? That seems rude." I thought there was another one over here, but maybe this one that we just shot was the one over here. Anyway, this is kind of a neat lighthouse. Like I said, it's actually on a bit of a cliff. That's kind of cool. And it's got a little cove over here. Oh, and a boat. Interesting. Nice little beach right there. And that's actually a pretty nice view. The problem is this makes me think it's a river, and it's not. This is still salt water. But I do like the lighthouses. They're pretty cool. Might there be a vehicle here? Vehicle or a hydrant, maybe? Because I could use some water. I mean, we have plenty of water on us. Oh, there's a nice little shipwreck over there. I have no idea if there's anything on those. God, that one is rusty as all hell, isn't it? No, don't do that. Well, there's a boat down there, so maybe at some point we can go check out that shipwreck over there. If you guys want to. We'll see. Oh, there's a nice beach over here, too. The problem with the beaches on this side is there's no view. It's just kind of the open ocean. You got, island out over there, but it doesn't, there's not really anything to look at, And I love having a place with a view. Looking this direction is a lot nicer. Honestly, this lighthouse has a really beautiful view. I love this little cove down here. I really do. Let's see. Let's go ahead and take us a drink, shall we? Don't need that. And we got us an apple. No, we don't. It's in the backpack that we're not wearing. Oh, that apple's starting to go bad anyway. Well, good thing we decided to eat it, huh? Well, this lighthouse, it's got a nice view, but other than that, it doesn't really have quite what I'm looking for. It's still a good ways to get back over to the thing, but we got a couple of beaches along here, it looks like. Could be interesting. It might be best just to go this way. Never know what we might find. Now, I don't necessarily want to drive. Yeah, that right there is exactly why. Got a decent little beach here. Don't drive into the ocean. That water gets deep quickly. But my big problem with building on this South Island has always been fresh water. I guess technically that's been my problem with building on the coast anywhere, is water. Drat, I thought maybe there would be a cave over here. I know there's a lot of caves around here. There's a decent looking little beach down there. Again, there's a tree right there too. Again though, just a beach along this south edge of the South Island, I'm not terribly interested in. Just from the standpoint of it, I don't know, there's just not a whole lot to look at. You know, they're nice little beaches, but there's a lot of nice beaches with much better views elsewhere. Hiya! This is not ideal terrain for this, is it? But I like the rocky outcroppings and whatnot too, though. You know, just like little spots like this. Just, there's not much here. And this one's actually not great. But just kind of camping, you know, setting up camp where you have just kind of a nice little overlook like that. I like the idea of. Now, is this... Okay. Damn it, there's a tree there. Ugh. Sorry for the yawning. Oh, this beach is really awkward. Ew. They get stuck there. Let's go up and around. It's a nice long beach. It backs right up to some rocks. Makes for an interesting spot. I don't think I would put a base there, but it's still kind of a nice, interesting little beach. I don't know if there might be a cave down there or not. I'll probably check that on a map later and see. And if there is, we can venture back over here and check it out. Let's see. We're not far from the road at this point, so let's just get back up to the road. Because I don't think there's really anything terribly interesting down here. There we go. Now, obviously right now we do have a fully functional quad. In addition to this Rager. What do you guys think, or what would you prefer that we use as a vehicle? You know, would you guys prefer that we just stick with the Rager? Or do you like the idea of the quad? Or do you like the idea of moto camping off of, you know, a motorcycle? The motorcycle obviously would be by far the lowest capacity. You know, we would not be able to really do a whole lot of looting from a motorcycle, just because they don't really have much inventory space. You know, you can about put, I think you can put a hiking backpack in the cruiser. And then if you get the saddlebags, you can do like an extra assault backpack or a couple of like these small improvised backpacks. I'm actually curious right here. Can we get the truck over there? Yeah, we can. The water in the middle here. I wonder, is that shallow enough? Could you use... Yeah, that's shallow enough. I wonder if you could use this pier as kind of a starting foundation to build a base, like completely over the water here. You could have like a fishing hole in the middle of it. That'd be an interesting idea for a base, potentially. You know, just try and, do foundations all the way across to over there. And then fill in a lot of this with foundations, but leave, an opening in the middle for fishing. It's an interesting thought. We're down here. We might as well search this stuff. Cream. I think we have cream already? I don't know. Maybe we don't. Maybe we don't. I'm hoping to find screwdrivers. We got plenty of those. Getting toasty. What's our temperature doing? We're fine. We're 0.1 degrees too warm. I got both of those already. Oh, sorry for the yawning, guys. Today was a very, very, very long day. I spent pretty much the entire morning over at my grandma's place, or technically, I guess my grandma's place, but again, my grandma passed away, so I'm still gonna call it her place because it is her place. But anyway, I was over there loading up a bunch of furniture and stuff like that today to haul off to an auction house. And we loaded up like 3 different tables and 8 chairs and several boxes full of miscellaneous stuff. And anyway, it was a long morning. And sorry, my mind trailed off there for a second. I was trying to look at stuff and things. Anywho, I have not been feeling great today, even before having to do that. So even after all of that, I have been fairly out of it for the rest of the day, and I'm recording this kind of late at night on Tuesday. So anyway, if I keep yawning or if I sound a little off, that would be why. See, now we're getting into some kind of interesting stuff. Oh, actually, we're actually kind of right in an area that I thought was interesting before. Okay. Yeah, it was actually just right off of this road that I noticed it. I would like to check out this little cove down here, but I think it was... Was it this over here? No. Are we not... I think it was a little bit further Yeah, it was a little bit further up. Because that right there is a little bitty island I was telling you about. There's a clearing right there that I want to show you guys. But this spot over here looks kind of interesting too. So let's take a gander at it while we're here. The terrain here is not nearly as good for trying to build, but I love these little peninsulas. Yeah, this really wouldn't be great for a base, but it's still nice. Now, over here, man, I'm glad this truck has good suspension. But over here is a nice little cove. Ooh. Ooh. This would be a really nice little camp spot. It's actually got a decent view because you got the, you know, actually, that might be that island. Either way, you've got a decent view of another island. It's not just staring off across the open ocean. And I don't know if there might be anything up here. It looks like there could be, but that doesn't mean that there is. You know. But you got some nice... Yeah, I don't think there's actually anything up here. But that's a bit unfortunate, honestly. This looks like it would be a decent spot. Oh, a cargo drop. You know, I almost expect there to be a cave right in here, and it's unfortunate that there's not. It almost looks like there should be. You know, just looking at that texturing right there, it looks like there should be a cave there, but there's not. Unfortunately, this is not as flat as I was hoping for either. I was thinking this was maybe just kind of one big flat rock, but it's not. So that would make pitching a tent up here really awkward and uncomfortable. That's unfortunate. Still, you could camp down here on the beach. Got a nice view of over there. We've been down to that island, I do believe. You know, it's got a lighthouse in the middle of it. And it's got a couple nice little beaches. Of course, the cargo drop is the opposite direction. But that's okay. I don't know if we're going to bother getting the cargo drop. So there's not really a whole lot that we want or need loot-wise. We're not going to find a wheel for that cruiser in there. And there's not really anything that I need. We've got plenty of food. We've got decent weapons. We don't need more gas cans right now, and I can find gas cans in towns and stuff like that. If we would need those for making, you know, rain collectors. So I don't know that there's really any reason to hit the cargo drops. Now, I believe it's got to be this right over here. Yeah. For whatever reason, just this clearing right here, I really like. And I'm not real sure why. It's nothing special. And honestly, it's not even a great spot to build, just because you do have quite a bit of, you know, this kind of scrubby brush. This open spot right here, though, would work if you want to build something up here. But this little island down here, you can see I built the bridge across. The water is shallow enough that you can build a bridge across. Now, I don't know if we could build it up any higher than that. I put it basically down as low as I could get it, just because I didn't know starting over on this end if it was going to be shallow enough that we could do a bridge and have it actually raised up much. But the point is, you can do a bridge all the way across to this island. And you see, it's reasonably deep there. I know you're slightly warm, but I like this. You've got, good enough water here that you could absolutely fish. You've actually got a pretty nice view. You've got both of those islands off that way. And then you've got kind of the main land over here. So it seems really nice. This island isn't really big enough to do a lot with. I mean, you could put a tent up here. Or whatever. You could build a small little something up here maybe. But the water is shallow enough, at least out a little ways, that you could put foundations all the way around this island and kind of expand it out a little bit. We'd have to put a flag on the island, and a flag over there. But this would be something that we could build out, because, I mean, the water stays shallow, but see, there's fish. There's plenty of fish here. This makes me wonder how shallow the water is kind of further out. Because obviously it's shallow out this way. So I'm curious how far out this way we could build a base. Because in theory, good lord, there's a lot of fish jumping over there, it looks like. In theory, we could build a fairly large base over the water out here. So I'm kind of looking at, if we want to do some base building, this would be a decent place to start. So let me know if that's something you guys would be interested in. Also, if we do want to do some base building, do you guys want to see the base building process, or would you rather I do most of the base building off camera and just show you guys the results? Now, again, since the bases that we're going to be building are going to be kind of just to see what we can build, and, building for the sake of building, as opposed to building one permanent base to live in. I'm planning to do it with God mode. So, let me know if you guys are okay with that. That would make showing you the base building process a lot easier if I can do it with God mode. I do wonder if I could raise the bridge up a little bit, just from the standpoint of, you guys can see, when the tide comes in, this bridge goes underwater. You know what? Let's come out to the deepest part, probably this one here, maybe? This one or this one. One of these two. Anyway. Oh, I don't have a thing to destroy it. Of course not. I need an axe. I want to see how much higher up we can build that. No, this is going to be medical supplies. Let's see, it's one of these then, not that one. That. You guys suggested that the reason that the backpacks are not doing what they do in the supply chest is because there's other room for them. They can go down here. Whereas in the supply chest, they can't, and so they're going into whatever space is available, which happens to be the rotated space. And that makes a lot of sense. Also, there we go. One of you mentioned a way that we could label the backpacks, and that would be to move each one down a row and put one item out of each backpack into the empty space directly above that backpack. So, like for the tools backpack, we could put, an axe right above it. For the scrap backpack, obviously a piece of scrap. For the car tools, we could put a car jack. And that would be a way that we could label all of these. So that's certainly a thought. I like that idea. So we might give that a try. Because I try to color code the backpacks, but obviously that doesn't work 100% of the time. Let's see how high we can actually build this. No, don't drink the salt water, please. No, we need base building. Damn it. Remove that. Thank you. There we go. Oh, well, heck, we could actually raise it up a fair bit. Okay. Now, I don't know if we'll be able to if we try and go out that way with it, but, like I said, something to think about. Let me know what you guys think of this spot as a first base location. I like the idea of it. I really do. Not even necessarily so much the island itself, but just because the island is there, a lot of this is shallow. So we could, in theory, build a decent-sized base on the water here, which is hard to do in a lot of places, and still have the water actually deep enough to be useful for stuff, So, let me know what you guys think. Again, let me know on the base building stuff if you're okay with us using God mode, since the bases are going to be for, I guess, experimental purposes. Anywho, I think that is going to do it for this episode. We've been going for over an hour now. Sorry that this is not very exciting, but like I said, if we do the exploration series, then it's not going to be a whole lot of exciting episodes. Again, we absolutely will hit POIs and stuff like that, just to keep it from being too boring and too monotonous and repetitive. But the focus is going to be more on kind of like what we did today, where, hey, this area over here looks interesting. Let's go check it out. And we go drive around. And like I said, for the exploration series, I will look at a map to see what kind of interesting things there are. I'll see if I can find whatever we can find as far as, caves. I don't know if there's any that mark like all the little cabins and stuff. And, just interesting locations. So if you guys know of any interesting locations that we should check out, please let me know. If you could give me rough coordinates, just for example, A3, southwest corner, near the coast. Something, doesn't have to be super specific, but, just a rough idea so that I kind of know where to look. That would be very helpful. Because Scum is a pretty big island. There's a lot to explore, especially if we're trying to look through all the little nooks and crannies and stuff to find all the hidden gems. So, let me know what you guys would like to see. Right now, I'm thinking we are going to just kind of do some exploring. And if we find an interesting spot like this right here, we might try building a base just to see what we can do. If that sounds interesting to you, let me know. If you'd rather we hold off on that and we just kind of keep farting around and go hit POIs and work on trying to establish one particular spot for a permanent base, we can do that. But let me know. Before I forget, there will not be a live stream this weekend. I'm going to be working this weekend, so I'm not going to be available to do a live stream on Saturday. I'm not sure about the following weekend, but I will let you guys know what the glitchiness over there. I will let you guys know as soon as I know more. But there will not be a live stream this Saturday. So I do apologize for that. I enjoy doing the live streams because I love getting to talk to you guys in real time. But unfortunately, not going to be able to do it this weekend. So, anywho, I can't think of anything else I need to ramble to you about. So I'm going to just plug the links in the description as per usual. We've got St. Jude Children's Hospital and Wounded Warrior Project, both linked in the description. So if you'd like to support either of those charities, go check out those links. Then we have the Discord server for the Wolfpack multiplayer SCUM server. That's the one that I do my live streams on. It's a PvE server with a bunch of really chill, friendly people. So if you're new to SCUM, or you're just looking for a nice, relaxing time, kind of doing stuff like what we're doing right now, it's a great server. Or if you're looking for somebody to squad up with so that you can go tackle some of the bigger POIs, there's people on there looking for, squads and whatnot. It's a nice, chill server with a bunch of great people. So if it sounds like something you're interested in, go check out that link. It'll take you to the Discord page. Get to know some of the folks there. Read the server rules page. That will tell you the rules and the settings for the server. And if it sounds like a good fit for you, then get in touch with either myself, Necros, or Cornbread on Discord. And we will set you up with the password. We are the admins for the server. It's getting cloudy. Ish. But let's see. Sorry. Brain fart. We also have my wife's YouTube channel, where she does a variety of videos, including kind of relaxing rain ambient videos, comedy videos, paranormal videos, where she posts informational content on various paranormal locations, as well as some evidence that we have captured during some of our personal investigations. And we also do family live streams over there, where we play games like Bigfoot and Phasmophobia. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, go check out her channel. And other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.